1948 Gottlieb Jack N Jill with about the worst back glass in the world.
I was looking at your handbook about how to do glass painting.
I don't think you're going to be doing it on this one. Start with the easy stuff first. This line cord, you've got this spliced in, but the old original one is just,
Yeah.
look at this, it's just cracked. This is why you plugged it in and blew the line fuse.
Yeah.
This is why. Look at this thing.
Wires
Has to be
touching
totally discard this thing. So we'll start with putting in a new power cord here on the bottom panel before we do anything else. The new power cord soldered in and completely remove the old one, so there's no remnants of that. This is the cord that goes to the service jack, which is sitting way back there. There's a service jack on the inside for a soldering iron. Anyways, I lifted the play field, and the thing that's interesting, well, first thing is a couple of interesting things. Flippers are real interesting, 3 flippers per side, controlled by one coil, which is not a 3-lug coil, so it's just a power coil. No end of stroke switch to convert from the high-powered kick to a hold circuit. That's not part of this assembly. It's like that on both sides. Obviously, this is the side for the right side, and it controls all those flippers there. And it's pretty wild that, you know, how one coil, I'm imagining that these flippers are not very strong, are they? I mean, they don't really bat the ball real hard.
Not really.
Yeah. Because the coil couldn't be too strong or it would burn up if somebody was holding the flipper buttons in. So they kind of had to make some sort of compromise on the power. When you reset a game, the coin slide pushes this lever in, which would normally move this little bell mechanisms here that moves this lever on this bell this way. But this thing isn't really a bell. This is really a timer mechanism. It sounds like a clock when it's working, which it isn't now. But there's a switch in here that closes as this timer goes off, and then after 15 minutes, as this thing moves back, the switch will open up and turn the entire game off if nobody's playing it. So every time the game is played, this gets pushed in, and that switch closes and it lights up the entire game. Otherwise the game is just completely off. So we're going to jumper across this since this mechanism isn't working, and then we'll just go with some sort of a power switch, either you know, just plug the line cord into a power bar with the switch, or we could actually wire our standard power switch down here into the bottom panel. I think this is really interesting on the bottom panel. I mean, how you just undo these, you know, because these do look a lot different than like this style. This is what, you know, we're used to seeing. These ones really do look a lot different. You just kind of undo these two screws right here, and then you can actually move the switch, the non-moving one, closer or further away just by sliding it. See how it slides? See it slide there? You know, so I want an acceptable gap, and then you just tighten these back up. You know, and that's how you adjust these. You're not supposed to bend them.
How do you know what that goes to?
Well, I don't, because we don't have schematics, but, you know, and then you can see kind of like, you see the springs, the compression there.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's good. So I want it to compress. I want it to have a good 1/16 of an inch of compression. So that's working pretty good. So working on this stepper, one thing I always do is I put some heat shrink tubing over this armature lever, because as it pulls in, you can see it closes this switch right here. And there's a little piece of fish paper right here, which is an insulating like paper, but these always get worn. The fish paper always gets worn. And you know, you could put new fish paper in, sure, that'd be easy enough, but it would require disassembling the whole switch stack and cutting the fish paper the right length and so on and so forth. It's just easier, I find, just to put some heat shrink tubing over this mechanism, and then I melt it on with my soldering iron. This way, the metal frame of the stepper is always insulated from the switch. You've got to have that on all these steppers, otherwise it causes some other problems. In the back box, there's 2 main steppers. This one's the credit one, what I'm pointing to with my thumb. The one I have my hand on over here is the main scoring stepper. This has to be taken apart and cleaned. I took the nut off. There was a nut here. Took the nut off. This armature comes off. Make sure you mark which way is up. Because if you don't, you'll hate yourself when you put it back together. Then you undo a little screw here, and this thing can slide down. Again, I put my heat shrink tubing on this armature here, so because I don't trust this fish paper against this switch. Trust me on this, you need to do that. But now we need to unwind the clock spring, which is this spring right here, and I will take it off of here and I will count, hopefully, the number of winds. 1, 2, 3. So it's basically about 3 winds, maybe 4, that the clock spring was on there. And then we can pull this thing out. Well, oh wait, I got this switch in the way, so I'm going to have to undo this one right here. To get this out, we got to swing this switch out of the way, so I remove this screw and then loosen the back one, and I can slide this thing up and out of the way. And then this can just pull up and come out, which I'll need 2 hands to do. With this armature out, I can clean the shaft and also clean the hole with alcohol on a rag, and then re-lubricate with Teflon gel lube, and then put this back together. This mechanism right here was sluggish, has a little shoulder bolt, which is this thing right here. Always take the nut off, which is on the back side first, before you take the shoulder bolt off, otherwise you'll break the shoulder bolt. Then this assembly can be cleaned, including the shoulder bolt, so that this doesn't bind. Now I have the mechanism all put back together, shoulder bolt cleaned, shaft on this cleaned, heat shrink tubing out it there. Notice the bell and this little whisker that comes up as it advances. The whisker hits the bell and rings the bell, kind of quaint. This switch, you make sure that this guy opens at the reset position, which it does, and we can see that it steps up nicely and then resets nicely. We're ready to put this back up here and put our screw back in. This is the credit unit. Notice the light bulb here. This is a number 63 bulb, and what this is for is that if you look on this side, there's numbers on this little Bakelite thing that's like, it's like a projector, and there's a little magnifying glass right here, and then there's a hole in the score, so the light, actually I think this bulb should be up here, shining through this hole that shines through this thing and through this window and projects it onto the glass. I can't imagine that the bulb goes here. It just, there's no way for the light to get through. It seems like it needs to move. Credit unit with the number 63 bulb. Right now there's 0 credits on it, but if you put a credit on, look, the bulb lights up. And then that shines through, or it's supposed to shine through, and project the actual number of credits on the front of the glass. But the bulb is in the wrong spot. I think it's supposed to be up at this hole here.
It's supposed to be through it.
Yeah, either that or on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know why somebody moved it here. But see, then when you take credits off, the light goes out.
Yeah.
We were going to replace some more light bulbs, but it comes to turn out that the light bulbs used here are not bayonet style. They're threaded. Yeah, but I'm still missing this one. I'm missing that one. The pop bumper ones were the standard bayonet style like they use today, but these here are all threaded.
Yeah, it's the only ones that, well, no, some of these are threaded too.
Yeah, look, a lot of them are threaded. We're getting ready to lower replay fill and try it out. Again, when we push the coin slide in, it moves this mechanism down, which turns the timer on, which we now have shorted, so that's out of the equation. The switch in there, which is a master power switch. And then it resets this whole bank here. And this is the feature bank. You were talking about certain numbers you had to hit. Well, this is what's all responsible for that, and that whole bank gets reset as this is pushed in, and this all happens from the coin door here with the coin slide. The slide physically, this pushes in that lever. Right. So I need to get a spring though for here. This really got to have a spring. And it's already been disabled, so it's already kind of on free play, if you want to call it that. I mean, even though there's a credit unit, what happened is that the credit unit was responsible for activating this relay. So if you had credits on the game, this relay would be pulled, I believe pulled in, and it would allow the coin slide to move freely. If there was no credits, this would pull out, and the only way the coin slide would move in is if there was a coin in there. That's how it originally worked. You know, there's a little carbon ring. We got the game on, you see the lights, If you bang on the bottom of the cabinet, there's a little plunger here that turns the game off, and you'll hear it will release the hold relay. Look at that, and the whole game goes dark. So I'm going to turn it back on. I'll put the whole relay back in. And then the same thing for the tilt. If you tilt it, I'm just going to hit the plumb bob here, and it turns the whole game off. So, yeah, hit the bottom of the cabinet, and it just activates that. That's how it, yeah, isn't that crazy? That's crazy stuff. That's how, that was the off switch, hitting the bottom of the cabinet. Talking about the design, there's no pop bumpers. You got all these static bumpers. You got 6 flippers that are move in unison left and right side. You know, they move together, and they're not very powerful, and they're kind of in weird positions. Like, I'm not entirely sure what you would be aiming for with this flipper.
This one, you try to hit the 50,000 or the 5,000.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, it just looks, and this one up here, what, you trying to hit the 10,000 when lit?
Well, these you just try to keep it up here, working off of all of these as long as you can, and then go through your advance down here, which lights up a double bonus down here. So that anything that you would normally get in here, and every time that you hit, I guess it's any one of these, your 10,000 goes to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and so when you get into here, you get double whatever's lit up down here.
Oh, okay. But then how do you see your score? On the, clearly this glass is going to be a
100, 200,
challenge.
300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800,000. These are the 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So your total, your end score is whatever this plus this is.
Right, there's no millions on this?
No.
It doesn't go that high?
It just goes to 800,000 as far as I know.
Huh. Wow, that glass is wasted though. So Jack and Jill, the 6 flippers, this was, what did I say this was, April or?
1948.
Yeah, April, I think it's April 40 or 48.
April 48.
One of the 6 games with 6 flippers started with Humpty Dumpty was the first one with flippers, and then Gottlieb made this series with 6 flippers. So what it was Humpty Dumpty, then Lady Robin Hood, then Cinderella, then Jack and Jill, then Old King Cole, Alibaba, Alice in Wonderland, and Miss QT. So this one is Jack and Jill. This was April 1948, made 2,000 of them. Pretty much all the same playfield design. It's just different artwork. Slightly, I think this whole thing was different. But anyway, so we push in the coin slide, and it should release the balls. Okay, and it reset our score. You see there's no longer a score up there. So then I can manually plunge a ball up here, and then I got the world's wimpiest flippers. I mean, you really have, I would say, 0 control. Pretty close. I mean, it's...
You can do more than that.
Really, you think so?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not...
If I bring the bottom up.
All right, fine, you play. Let me see you, Mr. Control. Let me see you make this.
See if I can remember.
Yeah, no. Wait, it's been a few years since you've done this? All right, I want to see some ball control here. Oh, yeah, boy, look at those flippers. Wow. Yeah, boy, you're Mr. Ball Influence here. But once you get in those holes down there, that's it, it's over. They just kick it to the out hole.
If these swings were newer.
Well, maybe we'll give you some new bumpers here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got the killer ball control. Wow, look at it go. Come on, get it. Oh, yeah.
I missed it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you had a little going on there. So the interesting thing here is that these are backlit, and it shows like cartoon characters as it advances. See, it shows the different...
It's the whole pull.
Yeah, he's getting the pail of water.
Jack fell
down.
Broke his crown. Jill.
Okay.
After.
And then it goes back, and we go to the next 200 to 300,000.
Yep.
So then, that's the first one. That's the 10,000, and it shows you the first one. What does it say? He went up the hill.
Jack up the hill
to fetch a pail, and then this is advancing too, and then it'll just go across. So you're right, it doesn't do any millions. It's all up to 600, 700, 800,000.
Yep,
800, 890
is your highest.
is your highest that you can go. Single wand coil, but that'll let you hold it in. This side makes more noise. It does make a lot more noise. But it's just funny how they'll let you hold them in. You'd think you'd bake the coil, but you know, you can't bake the coil. At least it doesn't seem like it. You know, they're not strong flippers though, that's for sure. Man, they're just nothing compared to the A5141s, which was the standard coil they started using after they went to the end of stroke switch. So they remember I was telling you, there's 2 coil packages and one, or 2 coils in one physical package. These are just 1 coil in one package. You know, they don't have the hold in, you know, I think because the power is much lower, you can hold it in without burning up the coil. You could probably hold it in for quite some time, and it wouldn't have any negative effect.